Greetings, my friends. Yes, it is me, Michael Merchant, back again with evidence from the archives pertaining to Bigfoot, which was labeled as the wild man by the newspapers of the mid-1800s. Today, the burning question in most of our minds is, what is Bigfoot? Go figure, they had the same question 140 years ago. News from 1871, the Petersburg Index. The wild man, what is he? As most of our readers are probably aware, there is at present roaming over the United States, and for aught we know, making occasional excursions into British America and Mexico, a singular creature known as the wild man. We have before commented on his eccentric nature, which are many and various. At regular intervals of time, he appears in different parts of the country, creating always great excitement in the neighborhood and a vast deal of discussion in the local press. He is preternaturally ferocious, swift, and strong. He has flaming eyes and, generally speaking, a horrid and uninviting aspect. The few rash mortals who have approached him near enough for conversation are that he speaks an uncouth and unintelligible gibberish. So far, the received descriptions of him are unanimous. The apparent discrepancy with regard to his stature, which varies in different narratives from about 4 feet to 10, is easily accounted for by the mental agitations under which these observations of his person must necessarily be made. Or he may have the power of extending or contracting himself at will. This would not be so strange as the faculty which gives rise to the exception above referred to of changing his sex, so that after horrifying an Alabaman as a wild woman, he will immediately plunge Oregon into concern as a wild man. His seeming ubiquity is another perplexing attribute of this strange being. Superior to time and space, he thinks nothing of being seen simultaneously at points hundreds of miles apart. Quite as extraordinary in his particular power of eluding capture. Usually, all the able-bodied inhabitants of the district turn out en masse to hunt him with guns and dogs, but we have never heard of him being taken. After keeping up this game of hide-and-seek in one locality for a few days, he departs for another with the same results. In all his wanderings, however, it is observable that he keeps aloof from the settlements, confining himself, for the most part, to that border of civilization where contact with nature keeps the imagination fresh and vivid. After flirting about the continent to this manner for a while, he suddenly vanishes into impenetrable obscurity, where he rests quite perhaps for months. Then he reappears, and the program is renewed as before. The one infallible test of the true wild man is his wanting, his defiance of pursuit. If his more than mortal speed fails to outstrip his would-be capture, he either subsides into the ground or simply disappears. I think you would agree that this is a remarkable newspaper account from 1871, detailing many of the same attributes, many of the same behaviors and physical description that we see today when people are reporting Bigfoot. Now, it appears the author of this article used a bit of sarcasm. Clearly they're not dealing with a single individual. But it's interesting that not that long ago, and perhaps some people even today, think Bigfoot's a single creature. Like Patty's just this one creature that sprung into being, I guess. So what do you guys think? Do you think that in 1871 or in even earlier that they were reporting the same phenomenon? Red eyes, 4 feet to 10 feet, hairy, uncanny, stealth, unnatural speed, impossible to catch, impossible to kill. About the main difference between the Wildman and the Bigfoot of today is that the Wildman frequently carried a club or a staff and was often reported to have some form of clothing. Now this addition of clothing may or may not have been an accurate observation reported by the witnesses. It may have simply been modified by the editors of the time, thinking that perhaps it was too, risque, too shocking. It's a naked wild man. No, it's a hairy gorilla-type wild man, but he has enough sense to cover his genitalia with a raccoon skin. Frequently, they're wearing a loincloth or something. Makes you wonder. The other descriptions are almost spot on. It's especially interesting, the red glowing eyes. These newspaper reports, for the most part, have been overlooked by most of the so-called Bigfoot researchers, but they contain compelling evidence that supports this phenomenon. This is not a new thing. This didn't just start happening in 1954 in California. This has been happening for hundreds of years. This newspaper article is 140 years old. So what the hell's going on? What do you guys think's going on here? I have no clue. It's very strange. It would be interesting to see the correlation between other cryptid reports of this time frame, especially UFOs and aliens. Although oddly enough, many of the UFOs reported from this time period were reported as airships. Alright guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below.